Welcome to another episode of Burson India's podcast. I'm Dolly Tayal, Managing Director for Burson Genesis, and today we have a very special guest, Greg, who's the CEO of our Switzerland office. Hi, Greg. How does it feel to be in India?
Hi, Dolly. Very well. Thank you very much for inviting me today. Very happy to be here in Delhi after a great week of meetings here. Very happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Today, folks, we're discussing a very interesting topic, how communications is paving the way for sports across the world, as well as with a focus on how it's emerging in India. And with that, let me begin the podcast. Greg, my first question really to you is, how have you seen the PR landscape changing in India, particularly in the sports sector?
Well, Dolly, I think, globally, and not only in India, we're seeing a fundamental shift over the last few years in the PR industry, in the PR landscape. I think traditional PR up until a few years ago really relied on past experience, on expertise of PR professionals. They were relying on their expert gut feelings and relationships building. But now I think, over the last few years, data and analytics have become essential in this industry. So, and we're seeing that, of course, in the Indian market as well. We're seeing this globally. And today, PR professionals have different skills and also different tools available to them. So the shift really, we like to call it the TTO shift, the targeted, tailored, and optimized type of work that we need to do. And this is, first of all, regarding audience mapping. In the past, again, where how PR professionals were basing their thinking. Now, of course, we have tools that enable us to move beyond demographics to really understand fan behavior, interests, preferences, how people consume sports, and so this is data that PR professionals now have at their disposal to actually advise clients in the best possible way. Once you have this targeted, mapping of fan behavior, you can tailor content, and that's the next step. So you use this data to identify the trending topics and create narratives that are engaging and based on this data. So this is very different than in the past. This is not new, but this is something that now new PR professionals need to get better at, and the tools get better, of course. And so this is very very encouraging. Now, once you have targeted, you have tailored your content, then you optimize your channels. So you become a much smarter professional, and PR professionals today are much more efficient than they were in the past, and they achieve objectives in a faster, smoother way, and simply achieve objectives in a better for their clients. I think the in terms of channel optimization, that identifying the right platforms and influencers, of course, is key, and you can only do it once you have targeted and tailored your content. You know exactly where to put it. So PR professionals today are much more efficient than just a few years ago, and this is, of course, the same in India. And this is also, and we can talk about that later, of course, relates to the skills that young PR professionals today need to have.
What an interesting point of view. And what I hear you say, Greg, that from just relationships and gut feels, it's moving towards a more scientific approach towards addressing your client's needs. And with that, I wanted to move into really what your specialty is, Greg. You specialize in international sports bidding, right? Helping governments secure the rights to host, organize sporting events. Tell us a little bit more about that, Greg.
Yes, we've been in Switzerland focusing and specialized in this very niche area of the sports industry. Why in Switzerland? Simply because Switzerland is the home of international sports, specifically in the city of Lausanne, next to Geneva, where the International Olympic Committee is located, and today over 60 international sports federations based there. So this is really where the future of sporting events is decided, where sporting events are allocated around the world. It all takes place in from Lausanne. So this is where we've been based for 20 years. We will discuss it a little bit further, I think, in the podcast, the global centers of excellence that Burson offers in the sports world. Lausanne is one of them, a center of excellence in this relationship between governments and sports, and specifically governments and sporting events. What we do is basically we put in contact and we connect governments from around the world that want to use sporting events to achieve their own objectives. These objectives can be very different. They can be, the idea of wanting to build infrastructure, of course, to leave a legacy for the local population. It could be integration of minorities in areas of the country. It can be also simply being put on the map of international sports. So these objectives are very different, and our goal is to help our clients, governments, sports ministries, mayors, etc., to actually achieve these objectives through the securing of international sporting events. So why PR? Why communication? Well, simply because you can have one sporting event and many cities wanting to host it. So we get into campaigning, and we get into trying to tailor messages to explain to the owner, which is the sports federation owning the event, why the event should go to this place and not to another, or at least at that time. So that's when the campaigning, that's when the PR skills that I was talking about earlier come into the picture, and this is where the two disciplines merge. So we are PR professionals, but in a very niche industry, and this is a very exciting time in the sports world. And I'm here in India. And looking at how Indian sports and in the Indian government is actually investing in sports and in future sporting events. So it's very exciting to be here and to see how India is responding to the growth of the sporting events industry.
And I've been fortunate, Greg, to witness some of the amazing work you and your team do in Lausanne during my last visit, I think in 2020. And yes, of course, how we can partner together to bring some of this light in India as well. But right now, sticking to the subject of global, Greg, you are aware that Burson had recently launched a global sports and entertainment practice. What can you tell us more about the vision behind that, and why now?
Yes, Dolly, absolutely. We're very happy about the launching of Burson's global sports offering. Surveys have shown recently, and Nielsen's survey has shown that 75% of consumers globally are more likely to trust and buy products that are associated in the right way to sports. That's significant. And the idea behind Burson's global offering is to bring together all the capabilities, skills, and capacities from all the centers of excellence around the world to provide, to offer clients a solution, an integrated solution to help them connect in the right way. So the idea is not to just help them slapping logos on things. It's about building real connections between the brands, sports and entertainment, and the fans who are so passionate in this world. So what is exactly this offering? Well, it helps brands, first of all, get into the right communities, the ones that really fit their audience, and to create these experiences that fans actually care about. It will help clients to build fandom, creating ways for fans to connect really and share their love for sport. And something that's really cool is as part of the offer is the use of AI to predict how people will react to these partnerships. I think this is a series of tools that Burson can offer within that space, which will make sure and help clients that they make sure that their money is well spent, even to spot potential problems before they blow up, or simply to test positioning, messages, narratives before they actually invest. That's really powerful. We also want to be able to help brands navigate the tricky stuff, like staying true to their values and constantly being authentic, because that's what fans care about. That's what fans can spot. They can spot a fake a mile away. So basically, we want to help brands through this offering to use sports and entertainment to build communities, make real impacts, create reputations that last. It's about more than just the game in sports. It's about building something really meaningful. So we're really excited to get started.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Greg. A lot of interesting stuff to look out for from Burson. And you briefly mentioned about APAC. So, really, my next question to you, Greg, is what makes APAC and India specifically such a key market for sports and entertainment PR in the future?
Well, APAC is key in the future. You know, the international sports industry has invested in many parts of the world for the last decades. There's a new frontier which is specifically looking at India with an APAC, and I think if you look at the Olympic Games, for example, we know the margin that the opportunity for growth that exists in India is unparalleled, of course, and everybody knows that, and lots of investments have been made around the world over the last decades, especially in China, with, for example, for the Olympics. You know, having gone there with summer games and winter games, now it's time to all the eyes are turning to India, and I think it's not only because of the size and the magnitude of the market and the size of the country and the increased investment of the Indian government into sports. It's also the growth of the market. I mean, some numbers are staggering. We see some in the sports industry today. The India sports market is valued at around a little bit over $50 billion a year in terms of investments in sports properties in India, which is larger today than the telecom industry, or it's growing faster even in India than the automotive or tourism industry. It's expected to reach this market about $130 billion by 2030. Just to give you an idea, $50 billion, which is the 2023 numbers, is pretty much the level of the UK, which is very strong already. So imagine if you more than double that over the next 5 to 10 years. It is a market that's growing extremely fast. Just digital advertising on sports has grown by over 60% in the last couple of years. So you know, it's of course brands that are the main support of sporting events around the world see that and are also very interesting and talking to these international sports organizations and encouraging them to come with their major events in India over the coming years. So this is a very exciting landscape and a very exciting prospect for India and Indian sports.
Very interesting, Greg. But, you know, as you would understand that India, with all its diversity as well as its cultural sensitivities, also brings in some unique challenges as well as opportunities. So what are your views on some of those? What do you think are some of those unique challenges and opportunities?
Well, the challenges, I think, are the challenges of a very large nation, which is, you know, the cultural diversities, language, regulatory environment as well. But I think what's very encouraging is to see how the Indian government is actually investing in sports in all areas, nearly doubling their investments over the last 5 years in sports infrastructure and sport development. So this old cliche idea that we have around the world that India is only a cricket nation is proven wrong slowly. And this is I think a government investment in sports will be the key to encourage international sports governing bodies to invest and to come with their events in India, because with the support of the government, they know that they will be able to overcome some of these barriers that might still today frighten a little bit the foreign investment or the foreign outlook on sporting events in India. So the more the government will be involved, the international governing bodies will be when thinking about India to place their World Championship, Olympic Games, etc. So I think what we see now confirms this with a government that's extremely active, more than ever over the last 5 to 10 years, which is very encouraging for international governing bodies.
Fantastic, Greg. So, with all those deep insights, if I was to ask you, in this rapidly evolving landscape, what does it really take to be a truly trusted advisor to these sports organizations as well as athletes from the point of view of communications?
I think the skills that were there some decades ago in terms of client relation. Now, we talked about the technical skills that new PR professionals need to have to become these trusted advisors today. But there's a fundamental skill that PR professionals should have, and that they should have had since, that they have had for decades. That hasn't changed. It's the deep relationship that you can build with your clients. So your clients will be very happy to see that you have the tools nowadays to understand their audiences better. But they will also know that, and they will all still look for the way that you care about these issues. We have this saying in the PR industry that clients don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think this is a fundamental rule that any person or any young person or professional wanting to make it in this industry should have. It's about caring and for your clients and showing a deep understanding of their business goals and values and what they try to achieve, so that once they know that you care about them, they will be ready to listen about what you know in terms of what you can bring to their business. But so that's the first thing, and I think this is more than ever in an over complicated landscape, global landscape. This will be the fundamental value that a good PR professional should have is this connection with the client. So you do that by proactive communication, being in touch. Don't be afraid to pick up your phone and talk to clients. Understand their remit. Understand who your client needs to report to. Understand their limits as well. Don't over promise. Don't try to go over scope when they actually can't action advice that you give them. It's really and all this is linked to the way that you understand them. So I think that's the fundamental thing that doesn't change. Then of course it's about continuously learning, and we are very proud at Burson to be this learn it all company that will never stop learning at the fast pace of the development of technology. Burson is at the top of not only development of new tools, but also of training the staff around the world to use these tools. So that's the second aspect. But the first one will always remain the care that we can have for our clients, and I think this is fundamental.
Fantastic, Greg. And I think the two other things that I would add to what you're talking about is the way we focus so much on ethical conduct and our expertise in providing issues and crisis preparedness, right? Those are the only other two things I feel I could add to the point that you made. But really taking from there, Greg, how can PR professionals in India develop these skills and really build that trust and care that you spoke about with their clients?
Well, I think we can, there's different ways to do it. First of all, I think, there's mentorship. We tend to forget about that, and we tend to move forward as young professionals, move immediately into the delivering. We're so focused on these tools now that we just mentioned that we go head first and try to master tools and forget about how experience and expertise from skills that are been developed over the decades can be taught. So I think mentors, and you have great PR professionals all over India, and you have this culture of a transmission. I think developing a culture of mentors in such a now high tech aspect on things is more than ever important. Mentors will talk about caring for clients. Older generation PR professional will talk about these topics, while the younger generation will develop skills and mastery in the new tools that we have available. And I think young professional, a great professional, as I mentioned earlier, is someone who will be able to master these two aspects. Therefore, mentorship, I think, is a key element that companies should focus on and building new PR professionals.
Fantastic, Greg. What do you think, in your view, are the common mistakes you see some of the sports organizations, such as us as well, make in their PR efforts? And how do you think we can avoid them?
I think the common mistake that I see in the international sports world is simply a lack of understanding from sports organizations, whether they be national or international, in the tools that they have at their disposal. I mean, sports organizations are made of volunteers very often, and these are people who come from different backgrounds and different professional areas, who actually devote their extra time very often and in the management of organizations. So what we see and what we have seen for decades now is brands and those corporates that actually sponsor sports and sports organizations are much more educated in terms of how audiences behave and why they actually sponsoring sports, much more than the sports themselves. We've seen that in the late 70s and the 80s when sports sponsorship really started to be professionalized. Since then, the big brands of the sporting world have become extremely educated, of course, on why they're sponsoring sports, what they're looking for, what the return on investment should be, and they're doing it in a very educated way. Sometimes even without informing the sports owners and the sports themselves why they're doing it. They come and go, and the sports organizations don't really have a say. Now, I think it's really about the sports organizations need to start to, and many of them already do it, but I'm talking about sports organizations, not leagues, not professional leagues, who are much more developed than sports organizations that, again, rely on the work of volunteers very often. So sports organizations need to learn from not only their sponsors and maybe be a bit closer to their sponsors to understand exactly how their sponsors approach their sports and why they're sponsoring them. So as mentioned, I think, PR professionals today, beyond the client relation that we were talking about earlier, to make it into sports, we'll have to master the tools that are out there, and that we at Burson can provide specifically in terms of data analytics. And so the PR professionals, to make it into sports in an industry that still, for in some areas, still needs to learn how to identify and know more about their main clients, which is the fans. Those PR professionals that will master the art of helping clients to identify who their audiences are in a very detailed way will be those that will succeed. The sports industry is eager to understand better their audiences, so that at the end of the day they can sell their sports to sponsors at the highest rates. So these PR professionals who will be able to help sports organizations to identify that and to be better at identifying who their client base are will be those that will be successful, because the sports industry is hungry to know more about their audiences.
Fantastic, Greg. So, what I really hear you say, and if I was to summarize the key takeaways from our conversation, Greg, there are 4 points that you articulated repeatedly, and something that PR professionals should keep in mind. One is the process of continuous learning, right? Staying up to date on the latest trends, for sure. The second would be the age-old method of building relationships, networking within the industry professionals, as well as building a very strong relationship of trust and care with their clients, would be my second takeaway. The third takeaway I would take from our conversation is seeking mentorship, learning from the experienced prayer professionals such as yourselves, like how I am learning from you these days, Greg. And fourth, but not the least, is embracing technology, really utilizing the power of using data analytics tools and platforms to align and understanding your audiences better, tailoring your content better, and therefore optimizing the channel platforms where you can take this message to. So that would be my summarization of the key takeaways from our conversation. Greg, any final thoughts from your side on the future of sports PR?
Well, I think we've discussed quite a few things, but no, I think the future is about using data. It's about creating more meaningful connections with fans to drive business results. It's about continuing to build these long-lasting and trustful relationships with clients. And my final word as a foreigner here in this week in India is to really say that I look forward to come back to India, because and I'm not the only one. I think many PR professionals in the sports industry look forward to spend more time in India, because this is the future. This is where the sports events of the future will be placed, and this is extremely exciting, not only internationally but also for India, as the country sees its sports industry develop very fast. So thank you again for your time and for your hospitality. I look forward to come back. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg, really for your time as well as your insights. Thank you.
Thank you.